Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast. Hockey is finally coming. It's now. It was yesterday. It's today. It's tomorrow. It counts. Finally, the preseason's over. We get to actually enjoy some hockey, some real hockey. Now, we have a lot to talk about today because obviously there was a very anticipated debut made last night by one of the top prospects in recent memory. We're also going to be talking about all the prospects now turning rookies who made the NHL opening lineup. We're also going to be talking about a really important injury down in the KHL for a top prospect for the 2024 draft. As always, we're going to be delving into our Habs prospect of the week, our sleeper of the week, and prospect of the week. You don't want to miss it. So let's get started.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Recruits Draftcast.
And with the first overall selection in the 2023 NHL Draft, the Chicago Blackhawks are very proud to select from the Regina Pats, the Western Hockey League, Connor Bedard.
The sickest NHL draft and scouting podcast. It's gonna be sick.
As always, I am your host, producer Shane, joined by the amazing Grant McCagg. Now, Grant, yesterday, everybody and their mother was glued to the TV waiting for Connor Bedard to make his NHL debut against, sorry, what's that?
Vlasic. I thought you were going to say everybody was glued to the TV to see the debut of Vlasic, Alex Vlasic. He got the primary. It's funny. He got the primary assist on the goal that Bedard got his assist on.
Yeah,
everybody.
Donato.
You know, nobody mentioned the fact that was his first NHL point, and it was the primary assist. But that secondary assist guy, wow.
But there's another player who made his NHL debut yesterday. That's Kevin Korchinski.
Yeah, that's right.
It's worth noting because he is a top level prospect selected in the first round 2022. But obviously, right, the name on everyone's mouth, everyone dying to see him play against his idol, Sidney Crosby, is Connor Bedard. Ended the game with an assist, like you mentioned, I think 21 minutes ice time. So let's jump right into it. Like, what did you think of his game yesterday?
Well, yeah, I got thrown to the fire, like arguably the best player of the past 20 years.
Welcome to the
kid,
NHL.
And he, head to head against him. I've been saying that he's probably it's too early to be considering his size and age to be playing him at center. And then Luke Richardson, who's a lot smarter man than me when it comes to hockey, 21 minutes at center up against Sid the Kid. And he had a few hiccups defensively, but all in all, I think it was a pretty solid showing from him. He had, I know at one point they were saying 11 attempted shots, after like 2 periods or something insane like that. Like he loves to create offense, and it's quite apparent that he's going to do it right from game one of his NHL career, and it's going to be exciting to follow his career path.
And that's it. I mean, first few shifts, getting those nerves out, but really quickly, I thought he kind of found his groove. He was confident. He shot the puck, right? He knows that's his tool. That is his main weapon. And so he ripped it a few times, and it came close. I mean, he came really close. I hear people saying, Matthews got 4 in his debut. Bedard's a loser. I mean, come on. You didn't watch the game, clearly. Like,
was it Habs fan saying that, or
I don't know. I just kept scrolling. I don't want to see none of that.
That would probably have been Leaf fans that were making that comment, wouldn't it have been?
Yeah.
Debuts,
you make the deduction yourself, but nonetheless, I think, I think it was a successful debut, and they got the win, right? And any competitive player really wants the win at the end of the day, and that's what they got. So I think Connor Bedard's NHL debut was considered a success. Now, what about Kevin Korchinski? Because that bothered me a little, how he fell in the background, in the shadows, right? Nobody was talking about him, but they did their rookie lap together. They both got fined for not wearing a helmet. So what about Kevin? Did you like his game at all?
Again, 19-year-old playing defense in the against Sid the Kid and Malkin, he held his own, I thought. I if it wasn't Chicago, he probably is starting back. He's back in junior for his final year, but that they need the help, just like Montreal last year, working in four or five rookie defensemen. Chicago's going to do that this year, and I think it's exciting for their fan base and their club that two such high profile guys, kids are coming in at the same time. And I mean, he's a puck mover. It's going to be fun watching him set up Bedard through the years, because Korchinski's one of the best playmaking defensemen to come out of the CHL in the past decade. So, you've got the playmaker giving it to the shooter. There's going to be a lot of Bedard from Korchinski score lines over the years, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun watching those two evolve.
Yeah. No, that's well said. That's well said. And I mean, there's going to be more NHL debuts to come this week. I mean, three notable ones. Obviously, Logan Cooley with the Arizona Coyotes, Adam Fantilli with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and Leo Carlsson with the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, the Calder race is going to be really, really interesting this year. Those three guys are really big names, right? You can throw in Devin Levi, but he's already played a few games in the NHL. So those three are going to get their rookie laps. Maybe a helmet, maybe not. Depends if the team wants to pay that fine, which, by the way, I mean, come on, just let them do the lap without the helmet. Who cares? Anyways, that's a debate for another time.
Since they're going to get fined anyways, they should just wrap some rainbow tape around their head.
There you go.
Go out, do their lap. And I mean, can they get double fined? They could maybe say, hey, that's double jeopardy. You can only fine me once here. So just or wear a rainbow toque or something. That would, if I was, you're doing your rookie lap, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no helmet. You're going to get fined anyways. Put on a rainbow toque.
That's it. Yeah. The NHL has their priorities at the right place, just as always. Great job. Fantastic. Anyways, we're here to talk about prospects. We're not going to.
They did it not to get criticized. And what's happened ever since they made that decision?
Yeah.
Criticism. Like, they got more. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how if that was the best thought out plan that they've made, but it's this day and age that people, they're going to get criticized, and I was surprised that they came out with that ruling. But then again, it's the NHL, and nothing completely surprises me when it comes to things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. And considering the outpouring of players who vividly disagree with this new rule. Anyways, the NHL should probably, reconsider a lot of their operations. Not just that, a lot. They're far from perfect. But anyways, the Logan Cooley, Adam Fantilli, Leo Carlsson will be making their NHL debut. Will they stick with the team? Most likely. There's always a possibility they only play 9 games, but I think those guys, are pretty much locked in. Now, looking at the list of, rookies or prospects turning into rookies, there's 2 that kind of caught my eye that really, most people didn't have making the lineup from start of training camp. That is Matthew Poitras from Boston and Fraser Minton from Toronto. Again, those 2 guys were not for most people, they weren't expected to make the NHL lineup, but they really showed out in the preseason, and they gave their GM no choice. They had to make the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I was on with Tony after the rookie, the rookie tournament, and asked who I thought stood out for Boston, and that was the kid that I thought in the rookie tournament was outstanding, and he continued that into exhibition play. It's funny, in his draft year, like going into his draft year, he was rated as a first round guy, coming off his 16-year-old year, very highly regarded, and he had a disappointing draft year, to the point where he dropped, I believe it was into the 50s, where they ended up getting him. But there's one instance of a player, and it's why you have to be careful with kids that have disappointing draft years but were highly regarded before. I think Tristan Luneau is another perfect example. He also dropped into the 50s, but I mean, former first overall pick in the queue, right? Looked at as maybe a top 10 guy early in his draft year, and then just had struggles in his draft year. You can't, I mean, it goes two ways. It's so hard with predicting these guys because you have to watch what they do, but you also have to remember what they've done in the past. It's the same deal with Shane Wright. Like, if you just went strictly on his draft year, if there was no, except, this hype going into his draft year, he probably doesn't go top 10 in the draft, but he had the reputation, right? He was just so phenomenal when he was 15, 16. And so far, I think, he didn't make, there's an example of a kid that if you'd have said 2 years ago, oh, he's going to be in the AHL 2 years after he was drafted, they'd have thought you were crazy. So you just don't know how it's gonna turn out with these guys. Poitras, now he evolved in the past year to the point where you say, okay, that's the guy that we thought that we were going to see when he was 16. And the same thing with Luneau. Like he turned over the puck constantly. I saw him his draft year a lot. Looked like he didn't have good hockey sense. Panicked when he was under pressure. Made pedestrian first passes. Didn't really show much creativity. But then, so he drops into the 50s, I believe it was. Wasn't even the top drafted defenseman on his team. Like Anaheim picked Noah Warren ahead of him. And played on the same team. And at one point, Luneau was thought top 5, top 10 early on in his draft year. But something went on, light switch went off in the last year, and he matured. He got more reps. One of the reasons why I think he struggled in his draft year was because he hadn't played a lot of hockey. And, the COVID, a few things like that. But he got a ton of games in last year. And he's really developed. For him, he might even be a bigger surprise than Poitras, considering that he's 19-year-old playing defense. They already have Minchikov that made the team. So they're going to have two teen. They might be turning 20, but two certainly going into camp. Two teenage defensemen on the blue line. That's you don't see that too often. So exciting times ahead in Anaheim too. I think Leo Carlson's, those two kids on defense, and a bunch of guys coming like Zellweger, very highly touted. He didn't make it. He's the one that needed time, and I don't think anybody would have predicted last year that Luneau would make the team and Zellweger wouldn't. So it's great for their organization that they're building a young core, and Drysdale's back. Obviously, they got him signed, so they're going to be exciting. A year or two away, I guess, but you got to like what's happening in Anaheim.
And assuming that they don't perform too well this year, they're going to add another top level pick in 2024. So yeah, Anaheim, they're building something special. It's teams in the West should be scared. Say that.
Minton. Sorry, I didn't touch on him. And both of our Toronto fans that are watching might want to hear about that. It's funny. I know a guy that loved Poitras and ranked him a lot higher than he was picked, and it was the same with Minton. He thought he was probably a first round guy, and now both these guys are in NHL, so he looks like a genius, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he's scouting in the NHL and I'm not. Could have something to do with it, but anyway, I've given him some plaudits about it. You know, I guess you were right on those guys, but yeah, he plays a pro game. I don't think he's somebody that you would say has awesome offensive upside, but to crack the NHL at that age just goes to show how solid he is both ways already. Yeah. He plays a very responsible two-way game, has NHL size, NHL skills, middle line potential all day once he fills out and gets experience. So I think it's really big for Toronto that they got they finally got a couple of kids on their entry-level contracts that are going to play regularly, it looks like, him and Nyes. Because
on the same line too, yeah.
It's been so, and they both have middle line, you know, top 6, top 9 potential. Nyes could be on the top line, you know, eventually. So when you've got ELC contracts in your top 9, I think that's something that they have needed the last 2 or 3 years because they have all those big contracts. It's tough to fill those out. You're not going to get true, legitimate top 6, top 9 journeymen, typically at $900,000 a year or whatever. But obviously, ELC guys, it doesn't matter. Connor Bedard's on an ELC, right? So there are quite a few guys on ELCs that definitely have top 6 potential, and I think it's important for a team that has cap issues to finally be getting those draft picks that can play top 9 role for you on entry level contracts. So it's big for them that they got a couple kids in the lineup this year.
That's it. Yeah, well said. Well said. So switching over to overseas there in the KHL, there's a prospect that we've been talking about since we started the show, really. Ivan Demidov. There's a report that came out from Hockey News Hub on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. He is supposed to miss the next 2.5 months with a knee injury. Now that is significant time for a player who cannot be scouted in person, right? Scouts cannot go to Russia. They can only rely on video. So he's missing all that chunk of time, and he's not getting a whole lot of opportunities on his team to begin with. So this is pretty big news regarding his draft stock. Like this could genuinely affect him, eh?
Well, it might affect his ranking over the next 3 months, but presumably he'll be back the second half of the season and playing, hopefully playing regularly. It's tough with these kids playing Russia sometimes. Just keeping track of where they're playing. I mean, he saw a game in the MHL, the VHL, the KHL, and I had no idea day to day which I should be looking out for, what team he might be playing. You know, I'd have to look at box scores, and I'd lost him altogether at one point, and then I found, okay, he's playing in the VHL, which is kind of like their AHL equivalent in Russia. So, he was getting jerked around, not getting ice time in the KHL, going down for a game in junior, and then getting brought up to VHL, and then he hadn't played for a week. Like, I was looking at all 3 teams in that system, SKA, and he wasn't playing at all. And I'm wondering, okay, so he's gone from VHL, MHL, KHL to not playing at all. Why? And then we find out that he's got the knee injury. So Looks like he'll be missing the World Juniors, Shane?
Oh, really? Big miss. Yeah.
Normally you'd say, oh, wow, that's too bad. Like, we would love to seen him in the World Juniors, but obviously that's not going to affect things in any way in that regard. So it's too bad for him. And his stock has, a couple other kids have come on. The hot start by Yzerman, it's hard not to slot him ahead of Demidov at this point. And if Demidov ends up playing 4 minutes a game in the KHL when he returns and doesn't get any points, he's not going to end up being top 2 in the draft. But certainly doesn't mean that he doesn't have that ability and that talent. So it's going to be interesting with him, just like it was with Michkov last year. There'll be question marks. There'll be concerns. Seems like that. It's the same organization, right, that has Michkov, and they've loaned out Michkov for 2 straight years. Michkov and Demidov were top 5 in scoring for them in the preseason, and they didn't. No wonder they got off to such a horrible start. They couldn't score goals. Well, 2 of your top 5 scorers in preseason don't make your team. That you might be able to figure out why they're not scoring. So they're obviously, Rottenberg's not a huge fan of young players. So there's going to be some concern about Demidov's development, and it may end up hurting him on draft day. It's like, well, is he going to play another 2 years in Russia, getting this treatment that Michkov got for 2 years? Teams could shy away from taking him in the top 5, and if he drops out of the top 5, certainly talent-wise, somebody will be getting a steal.
Big time. Yeah, that's it. It's so confusing. I wouldn't want to be a scout trying to analyze Russian players because there's just so many factors, and you can't go over there. You only have the video, and anyways, it's going to be something to keep an eye on. We'll be talking about this throughout the season until the draft comes, but he's out for the next 2.5 months minimum with a pretty serious knee injury. So we'll see where that goes. All right, Habs prospect of the week. I don't think this comes to a surprise to many people. None other than Lane Hutson, 2022 second round pick, 62nd overall, had a crazy game there. Let's look at some footage and you can break it down, Grant.
Yeah, I think everybody's seen the overtime goal. This footage just shows him breaking ankles, basically. I got 2 minutes here of him breaking ankles. So it's entertaining. I've never seen a prospect in college hockey. McCagg would dangle like that a game, once a game, maybe twice a game, but we got 2 minutes of it here. Yeah. I went through, I looked at the stats from Instat, and it had him possessing the puck for 1:20 in the game. And I said, there's just no way. I watched the game, and like I did the 1,001, 1,002 every time he had the puck, and counted, wrote down every shift, how long he possessed the puck, and then I counted slow. It was over 4 minutes that he had the puck.
Wow.
Yeah. And really, when I looked at the clock and realized, okay, I'm counting maybe 2 seconds for every 3 seconds. It could have been closer to 6 minutes that he possessed the puck in this game, that's
ridiculous.
Absolutely insane. Like, I just don't, like, that's bordering on Bobby Orr against the California Seals back then. But he's just watching these tapes. It's just his edge work and his stick handling ability are just insane for a 19-year-old kid. Like, what's he going to do at the World Juniors? It's just going to be it's going to be really fun to watch because I bet you he puts up 2 points a game. I think he's gonna have 2 points a game in college, sure.
Yeah.
And Celebrini, wait till Celebrini gets rolling.
Oh,
You saw the flashes of it here. There it is. There, he just set him up in front of the net.
Yeah.
Celebrini's mega skills. Those two guys are just going to eat up college hockey this year, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to see as many games as I can of BU because it's going to be, I'd love to have a season ticket for their games this year because anyone that's going to see those two are just going to be treated to some entertaining hockey. But yeah, 1 point. Typically, best Habs prospect of the week had 1 point. Yeah, but it was OT game winner. He played 36 minutes in that game. 19-year-old defenseman in college. 269 puck touches, which again, I've never seen. I always look at puck touches. I think it's important, especially for defensemen, offensive defensemen and centermen, to see how many times they touch a puck in a game. And I've seen guys just on their absolute best game come close to 200 puck touches. That's considered phenomenal in a game. And he had 269. A lot of good players only get 69 puck touches in a game, and he had another 200 on top of that. So it was. I realize it was Bentley, and we can't get. If he has over 200 puck touches against Boston College, that's probably even if it's 201, that's more significant than 269 perhaps against Bentley, but. They gave him all it took them to overtime to win.
Yeah.
So the whole overtime period was just him possessing the puck. Basically, it's you can see why when it gets to overtime, it's about 50-50 chance that the guy that's going to end it is Lane Hutson because he's just he's dynamic on the power play and on 5-on-5, but 3-on-3, I don't think there's even a word that I can think of that describes how dynamic he is 3-on-3.
Oh yeah, no, that's it. Like when you showed me, because I saw your tweet about like the puck touches and the ice time, I was telling my parents like this. Apologies, there's a bit of a bug going around.
Yeah,
but I was showing my parents. I'm like. Do you understand how insane this is? It just blew my mind. He does whatever he wants. And I can't remember the last time the Habs had a defenseman like this. You know what I mean? Like, okay, Subban had, the offensive abilities and all that. Markov could run the power play, but at that level is yeah. I can't.
Yeah. I'll talk for a bit here. Yeah. It's bringing tears to your eyes. Yeah. No,
it's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
He's we saw it again in preseason. Montreal needs a power play quarterback. They really do. I mean, Matheson's going to do the job. And I think he's capable of it, and he'll do okay. But as far as an elite, top of the league power play quarterback, it's been I don't know. You have to go back to Chelios probably. At his peak when he was winning the Hart trophies to see Subban wasn't your consummate playmaking. Power play quarterback. He had the blast from the point, and he could, he made some nice passes, but he wasn't. He doesn't have the vision and the puck skills that Lane Hutson has, and it's just, The question will be, can he handle the size and at the NHL level, and we'll see that. But I mean, I went through the tape and made a full his bad plays and his good plays, and there's very few bad defensive plays because he's always got the puck when he's out there. Best defense is a good offense is what they always used to say. Well, I mean, you don't have to worry about his defense if he's got the puck and he doesn't have to defend when he's got the puck. And he had it for like 5-6 minutes probably in that game. So there were only 2 or 3 times when the puck was in their end for any length of time, and he had to try to defend the guy in front of the net and stuff. So it's almost an unfortunate part of trying to scout him is that you just don't get to see him defending that much because it's usually in the other team's end. So he's only going to have to be okay defensively, I think, at the NHL level to play a role, because it looks like whenever he's on the ice, there's going to be offensive chances. So it's pretty encouraging for Canadiens fans to see a kid with that potential. Like this could be a point per game NHL defenseman if he puts it all together.
And they got him in the second round. Ridiculous. Well, it definitely won't be the last time he's featured on the show. I can tell you that much. He's going to be lighting it up in BU. That's for sure. All right. Now, sleeper of the week. Grant, I feel like you're trying to trip me up with these names. Granted, they are playing very well, but indulge me as I try to pronounce. Please, in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong. It's Hjalte Thomsen, sleeper of the week.
Yeah, Lassie's cousin Hjalte. No, I don't think he's his cousin.
Put on waivers claimed. Yeah,
it's spelled differently, but yeah, I don't know about the Tomes part, but sure, you got Hjalte right anyway.
Let's roll with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I made a point of going to the Swedish pronunciation on Google just to double check. I didn't figure it was Hjalte, but he is a late 2005. Now he's playing against Växjö here, and they've got Frey and Wallenius on defense, and a fellow Anton Lind, who is another Dane, actually. Look at that goal. Nice. Eh? But this is all in the first 2 periods of the game against Växjö that has 3 really good draft eligible prospects, including 2 on defense. He had 2 goals and an assist in the first period and was the best player on the ice. Mm-hmm. So for a kid that's still just 17 years of age, soon be turning 18, here he is again, just very good puck skills. Very sees the ice well, has a good shot. Looks like he competes decently too. It's funny. I was looking at Austria is not playing in the World Juniors. They're in the Division 1 World Juniors this year. So we won't see Reinbacher at Christmas time because Austria is not in the big one, but they're in Division 2 or Division 1A or whatever it is, the next level. And one of the teams that they'll be facing is Denmark. Now, that Lind kid who we featured before is going to be on Denmark and who faced Thompson in that game and scored a goal too, I might add. Still looking good, but so will Thompson. So I was looking over in the last 8 drafts, 7 Danes have been drafted. So to have 2 that are going to, I think they're both going to be drafted. Yeah. To have 2 to look at, maybe there'll be more scouts at that tournament than you would normally see. And I think you'll see a few Habs scouts, obviously, because they'll be going to keep an eye on Reinbacher, and they will get to see these two Danes and hopefully get a good look at them, because I think they're both drafts. Thompson I hadn't seen before, and he has 13 points in his last 10 games playing in Swedish junior. That's good stats.
Yeah.
He's about 5'11", 170, so not the biggest guy, but that's decent size. That's if you can produce like that in your draft year, you certainly don't dock a guy too much for being that size. So going to keep an eye on him the rest of the year. Going to add him to my draft list and hope that he continues to produce like he has in recent games. And who knows, maybe he'll go in the top 3 rounds. So that's a sleeper pick. I don't think a lot of people had him on the radar. So let's hope that he keeps playing like he is, and he'll end up being a draft pick. So hopefully there'll be 2 Danes at least going in the draft this year, and that's cool. That it's nice to see other nations starting to develop a bit more. Scandinavian, Norway looks like they've got Nygaard there, Mr. Shinpad. He's going to go high, and there's another couple of kids in Norway that are probably going to go, and at least 2 Danes. That's nice to see, because the more nations there are that are producing NHL talent, the better the talent in the NHL will get.
That's it. That's fantastic. Yeah, I agree. The more, the better. It's great stuff. Keep an eye on. So, okay, prospect of the week is Mr. Tej Iginla. Now, if the last name sounds familiar, you're not going crazy. He is the son of Jerome Iginla, and he is having quite the week.
Should have asked me how you pronounce his first name before we started too.
Is it?
I think it's probably Ty.
Ty?
It's easier to say.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, he's chip off the old block. Look at this. Nice moves. Got an assist there. He's got a great shot like his old man. Breakaway goal there was pretty sweet. You'll see I put in the extra highlight here. Check out he's got nice hands, but very good finish. He had 5 goals and 2 assists in 2 games on the weekend.
Wow.
When I looked at tape of him in the offseason, he was with Seattle last year, so he didn't get a lot of ice time. They were a great team. There was a great shot, but you could see that he had the talent. And then they traded him to Kelowna, and he's playing with Crystal, first line, and he's blossoming. Not really surprising me, but this kid's he looks like first round ability here, and he keeps, like all of these kids, if he keeps producing. There's a nice tip from Crystal setting him up. You're going to see this a lot. But good hands, that was a perfect tip. The puck was off the ice, and he redirected it perfectly. It looks like the old man a little bit, eh?
Yeah. I mean, if he plays anything like him, that could be a really nice pick.
I mean, look at this. Does that not remind you a bit of the old man? Like,
big time.
Pretty stocky kid. Like, he's strong. Good skater. Look at that. Whoop. And almost scored. That was a good shot. As you'll see here, the goalie had to make a good save on that. No, I like his skill level. I like his size. Almost scored. If he'd have scored there, he would have had 6 goals on the weekend. So, got to be excited about this kid. He's climbing the draft rankings, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up being a first round guy.
Hmm.
You like the fact, you have to like the fact that it's the son of a Hall of Famer too, right?
That's it.
The pedigree's there. So I'll double check on his name because I should have looked it up too, but pretty sure that they call him Ty. It's easier that way, but you know, Tidge is kind of an odd name, but hey, Jerome with an A is not usual either, right? So there's a lot of it's nice that we get away from all the standard names, everyone being called Mark and John and Paul, and you know. So only problem is then we have to pronounce them.
That's it. Well, at least it's not our job. Our job is to analyze players and how they play hockey. So that's what we'll be focusing on more so. Mr. Iginla Jr. for now on is really turning heads. And like you said, he's in the conversation for the first round. So very exciting stuff. Finally getting an Iginla back in the NHL. I think everybody's going to be happy about that, no doubt. That about wraps it up for this week, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking, subscribing, commenting. Send us any kind of feedback. We take it and we try to apply any topic you'd like us to talk about. Let us know. And obviously, you can't forget to go check out recruits.ca for all your Habs and draft content, and even Habs and draft content for only $3.99 a month. Definitely worth that subscription fee. It's pennies, right? And you get all kinds of exclusive stuff. So definitely go check that out.
That's Canadian too, right? So any of you
even better
Americans watching this fine program, do the math on that. You're paying, I think it's about $1.85 a month for Habs coverage, and around $2.99 for the full coverage. So it's pretty. I leave it as inexpensive as I can, and there's going to be a ton of video put up, like on all the prospects, whether they're on the Habs or draft eligible. We'll be putting up tons of videos. I've got 2 or 3 guys helping me out scouting this year, and they're all great, and they'll be putting up some great videos in addition to the ones that I put up. And I'll be going to a lot of games live too, of course, and looking forward to just a fantastic season, NHL season. I think it's going to be a great one. I think the Habs are going to be a little better than most of the prognosticators are projecting, and they might end up surprising. So it's going to be a fun season, both for the draft and for the Habs. Looking forward to it.
Likewise. And we will cover it all right here on the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast. So make sure you follow and turn on those notifications. Grant, thank you as always. I will see you next week. Take care, everyone.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.